The extra face in our class photo. I found the box of school photos when I was cleaning out my childhood bedroom. My parents were downsizing, and I'd put off going through my old things for as long as I could. The photos were bundled together with a rubber band that disintegrated the moment I touched it. 1st grade through 12th grade, all lined up in chronological order. I spread them across the floor and smiled at how much I'd changed. Gap-toothed and eager in the early years. Sullen and desperate to be anywhere else by high school, that's when I noticed it. In my 3rd grade photo, there were 24 kids arranged in 3 rows. I remembered Mrs. Patterson's class clearly. We did exactly 23 students that year. I'd been obsessed with odd numbers back then, and 23 had felt like a lucky count. I picked up the photo and studied each face. There I was in the 2nd row, wearing that striped shirt I'd loved. There was Michael Chen, who'd moved away that summer. There was Sarah Robbins before she got braces. I could name every single child, all 24 of them. I counted again. Then I grabbed my 4th grade photo and laid them side by side. 4th grade had 26 children. I knew for certain we'd had 25 that year because it was the year Tommy Brennan joined our class mid-semester, and Mrs. Oak had made a big deal about having an odd number of students for partner activities. I pulled out 5th grade. 28 faces. We'd had 27. My hands were shaking as I went through the rest. Every single year, there was one extra child in the photograph, one face that shouldn't exist. The logical explanation tried to surface. Maybe I was misremembering. Maybe each year had always had that many students and I'd simply lost count. But I could name almost everyone in these photos. I could remember their voices, their quirks, who they ate lunch with, and in every photo, there was one face I couldn't quite place. In 3rd grade, it was a boy in the back row with dark hair. He was slightly out of focus, positioned at the very edge of the frame. In 4th grade, it was a girl in the front row, her face turned just enough that her features blurred. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the digital copies our school had posted years ago on their alumni page. I found 3rd grade and zoomed in on the back row. The dark-haired boy was clearer in this version. He had a small smile and dark eyes. He looked completely ordinary. He looked like he belonged, but I had absolutely no memory of him. I went through my yearbooks next, cross-referencing names. The physical photos showed more children than were listed in any of the yearbooks. The boy from 3rd grade wasn't in my yearbook at all. Neither was the blurred girl from 4th grade. I called Rachel Kim. We'd been best friends from 2nd grade through high school, and she'd always had a better memory than me. "Hey, weird question," I said when she picked up. "You remember how many kids were in our 3rd grade class?" "God, that's random. 23, I think. Mrs. Patterson always talked about it being a good number because she could split us into groups easily." "Do you remember a boy with dark hair, kind of quiet, stood in the back row for photos?" Silence. Then, "No, why?" I sent her a photo of the class picture. She called me back 3 minutes later. "That's so weird," she said. "I can see him right there, but I have zero memory of him." "Let me check my yearbook." She called back 20 minutes later, and her voice had changed. "He's not in the yearbook," she said. And I went through my 4th grade photo. There's someone in that one too, a girl I don't remember. She's not in the yearbook either. "Every year," I said quietly. "There's an extra one every year. That's impossible." "I know." We decided to drive out to the school the next day. It was Saturday, but the front office was open for some kind of alumni event. Rachel brought her photos. I brought mine. The woman at the desk looked at us like we were insane when we tried to explain. She pulled up the school's archived records and showed us the enrollment numbers for every year we'd attended. They matched our memories. 23 in 3rd grade, 25 in 4th grade. The numbers we remembered, not the numbers in the photos. "Maybe it's a glitch," the woman suggested. "Sometimes negatives get overlaid or something during development." But that didn't explain the digital copies, or why the extra face was different every single year. Rachel and I sat in my car in the parking lot afterward, neither of us sure what to say. "Maybe we should let it go," Rachel finally said. "It's just weird. It doesn't mean anything." But I couldn't let it go. I spent the next week tracking down other people from our graduating class. Out of the 48 people I managed to reach, 37 had their photos. Every single one showed the same thing: extra children who weren't in the yearbooks. Children no one remembered. Some people got defensive when I pointed it out, insisting I was wrong about the numbers. Others went quiet and changed the subject. A few admitted they'd noticed years ago but convinced themselves it was nothing. Then I talked to Marcus Webb. Marcus had been the photographer's assistant during our senior year, helping set up equipment and organize students for group shots. He'd gone into photography professionally afterward. "I need to show you something," he said when I explained what I'd found. "Can you come to my studio?" His studio was downtown, a converted warehouse space filled with equipment and prints. He led me to a back room and pulled out a folder. "I developed these myself," he said, spreading out a series of photos on the table. "Our senior class photo. This is the original negative, and these are prints I made at different times." The first print showed our graduating class, 96 students, just like the official count. The second print, made a month later from the same negative, showed 97. The third print, made 6 months after that, showed 98. "Same negative," Marcus said. "I thought I was losing my mind, so I made another print last week." He laid it down, 99 students. "They're being added," I whispered. "But who's adding them, and how?" I looked at the newest print. The extra face was in the third row, slightly left of center. A boy with light hair and glasses. He looked happy. He looked real. "I've been researching," Marcus said. "Trying to find any explanation. I found one thing, a newspaper article from before the school was built." He pulled out a photocopy of a brittle, yellowed article. The headline read, "Fire at Children's Home Claims 47 Lives." "The school was built on the site of the old children's home," Marcus said. "The fire was in 1952. They never found all the remains. The building collapsed too fast." I looked at the photo again, at all the extra faces appearing year after year. "They're showing up," I said slowly, "because we never saw them when they were here." Marcus nodded. "I think they just want to be in the picture, to be remembered, to exist somewhere." We stood there in silence, looking at faces that shouldn't be there but somehow were. Children who died decades before we were born, slowly appearing in our memories, in our photographs, in our past. "What do we do?" I asked. Marcus carefully gathered the photos back into the folder. "I don't think we need to do anything. They're not hurting anyone, they're just there, finally." I thought about that dark-haired boy from 3rd grade, the blurred girl from 4th, all those faces I couldn't quite remember but could clearly see. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I guess they are." I went home that night and looked at my photos again. This time I tried to see them differently, not as something wrong or impossible, but as something that needed to happen. Children who'd been forgotten, slowly writing themselves back into existence, one school photo at a time. I took out my senior year photo and studied it carefully. In the back row, slightly out of focus, there was a girl I'd somehow missed before. She had dark curly hair and a small, hopeful smile. I wondered how many more would appear. How many years it would take before all 47 had found their way into our memories, into our photographs, into the record that they'd been here too. I put the photos back in their box, but I didn't hide them away. Instead, I set them on my bookshelf where I'd see them every day. Sometimes when I walk past, I think I catch movement in the frames, a hand shifting position, a smile growing wider, eyes that follow me across the room, but I never look directly. I think they've been looked through enough. Now I just let them be. Let them stand in their rows year after year, finally part of something they were never allowed to have. Last week, my mom called. She'd found more boxes in the attic. Elementary school art projects, old report cards, and a set of class photos from the children's home, dated 1951. She asked if I wanted them. I said yes. I haven't opened that box yet. It's sitting on my kitchen table, and every time I walk past it, I feel like I should. Like someone's waiting. Tonight, I think I finally will, because I realized something. In that senior photo, the girl with the dark curly hair, she's clearer now than she was last week. Her smile is wider. Her eyes are brighter. They're not just appearing in the photos. They're coming into focus. And I think once they're clear enough, once they're solid enough, once they're real enough in our memories and our pictures and our past, they won't need the photographs anymore. Drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?